Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we are talking about something that secretly controls your entire life. Your emotions, your mindset, and your ability to stay strong when life gets difficult. Have you ever felt like one small failure destroys your whole day? One negative comment stays in your mind for hours. You want to speak English confidently, express yourself freely and stop overthinking, but fear, hesitation, and self-doubt keep holding you back. You start with motivation. You promise yourself that this time you will change, become more confident, more disciplined, and more focused. But slowly, stress returns, fear gets louder, and doubt begins taking control of your mind. Deep inside, you start believing that maybe you are not strong enough, not confident enough, or maybe you will never truly improve. But listen carefully, mental resilience is not something people are born with. Confident people are not fearless people. They simply train themselves to control their emotions differently. The strongest people are not those who avoid pain, but those who stay calm during chaos, focused during pressure, and disciplined during discomfort. And the truth is, once you learn to master your emotions, you can completely transform your future. You will think clearer, recover from failure faster, speak with more confidence, and become mentally stronger in situations that once controlled you. In this video, you will discover 10 powerful habits that can build unshakable mental resilience while also helping you improve your English fluency naturally. These habits are simple, powerful, and life-changing if you apply them consistently. So stay with me until the end, because habit number 10 is the one that separates emotionally weak people from mentally unstoppable individuals. Let's begin. Habit 1. Stop reacting immediately. Most people lose control of their lives not because they are weak, but because they react too quickly to every emotion they feel. One small criticism ruins their mood. One unexpected problem destroys their focus. One awkward moment while speaking English makes them feel embarrassed enough to stay silent for the rest of the day. Their emotions become the driver of their decisions, and slowly they start living in emotional survival mode instead of living with confidence and clarity. But emotionally strong people are different. They understand one powerful truth: not every emotion deserves an immediate reaction. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause. Just pause for a few seconds, because that small pause can completely change the direction of your thoughts, your actions, and even your future. Think about it. Someone criticizes you unfairly. Your heart beats faster, anger rises instantly, and your mind wants to react immediately. But if you react in that emotional moment, you often say things you regret later. You lose your peace. You lose control. Emotion becomes stronger than intelligence. But when you pause, breathe slowly, and calm your mind, something powerful happens. You stop being controlled by emotion, and you start controlling yourself. The same thing happens while speaking English. Many people already know enough English to communicate, but fear controls them. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of being judged, the fear of sounding imperfect. So the moment they make one small mistake, panic takes over. They stop talking, become nervous, and lose confidence immediately. Imagine standing in front of people and trying to speak English. You pronounce one word incorrectly. Some people notice. In that moment, a weak mindset says, "Stop talking. You sound stupid." But a resilient mindset says, "Stay calm." Mistakes are part of learning. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner too. That one mental shift changes everything. Instead of shutting down emotionally, you continue growing. Remember this carefully. Emotions are temporary, but reactions create consequences. A moment of anger can damage relationships. A moment of fear can destroy opportunities. A moment of embarrassment can stop years of progress if you allow it to control you. That is why emotionally strong people train themselves to pause before reacting. The next time you feel anger, fear, anxiety, or embarrassment, do not react immediately. Pause for 5 seconds. Take a deep breath. Observe the emotion instead of obeying it. You will realize that emotions become weaker when you stop feeding them with instant reactions. Over time, this habit builds emotional control, and emotional control builds mental resilience. Your voice becomes calmer. Your thoughts become clearer. Your confidence becomes stronger. And slowly, you become the kind of person who stays calm even when life becomes difficult. Because at the end of the day, calm people win battles that emotional people lose. Habit 2. Train yourself to stay uncomfortable. Most people dream about success, confidence, and growth, but very few people are willing to experience the discomfort required to achieve them. They want confidence without fear, success without failure, discipline without sacrifice, and English fluency without making mistakes. But life does not work that way. Everything valuable in life exists outside your comfort zone, and the longer you stay trapped inside comfort, the smaller your world becomes. Your comfort zone feels safe because it protects you from embarrassment, failure, rejection, and pressure. But at the same time, it slowly destroys your potential. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation, fear becomes stronger. Every time you stay silent because you are afraid of speaking English incorrectly, insecurity grows deeper. Every time you choose comfort instead of growth, your confidence becomes weaker. Emotionally resilient people understand something powerful. Discomfort is not punishment. Discomfort is training. That uncomfortable feeling you experience when trying something difficult is actually a sign that you are growing. Strong people are not fearless people. They simply trained themselves to keep moving even when things felt uncomfortable. Think about people you admire today. The confident speaker, the fluent English communicator, the disciplined student, the emotionally strong person who seems calm under pressure. They were not born that way. At one point, they also felt nervous. Their voice shook. They made mistakes. They felt embarrassed. They doubted themselves. But the difference is that they did not run away from discomfort. They faced it repeatedly until it became normal. Imagine someone learning to speak English confidently. At first, every conversation feels terrifying. They worry about grammar mistakes, pronunciation, and judgment from others. Their heart beats faster every time they speak. But instead of quitting, they continue practicing. Day after day, conversation after conversation, mistake after mistake, something incredible begins to happen. The fear slowly becomes smaller. Confidence slowly becomes stronger. And eventually, what once felt uncomfortable starts feeling natural. Your mind works exactly like a muscle. If you never challenge your muscles, they stay weak forever. But when you push them through resistance, they grow stronger. Your mind follows the same rule. Every difficult moment is mental training. Every uncomfortable situation is building emotional strength. Every awkward English sentence is improving fluency. Every moment you continue despite fear is transforming you into a stronger version of yourself. That is why resilient people intentionally do difficult things. They wake up early even when they feel tired. They exercise when they feel lazy. They study when they feel distracted. They speak even when they feel nervous, because they know that growth begins the moment comfort ends. Remember this, your goal is not to eliminate fear completely. Your goal is to become stronger than your fear. Real confidence is not feeling comfortable all the time. Real confidence is moving forward even when discomfort tries to stop you. And that is real mental resilience. Habit 3. Control your inner voice. The most powerful voice in your life is not the voice of society, your teachers, your friends, or the people who criticize you. The most powerful voice is the one inside your own mind. Because at the end of the day, you become what you repeatedly tell yourself. Your inner voice shapes your confidence, controls your emotions, influences your actions, and slowly builds the future you live in. If your mind constantly repeats negative thoughts like, "I'm not good enough, I always fail, my English is terrible, or I can't do this," then eventually your behavior begins to follow those beliefs. Your energy becomes weaker, your confidence disappears, and your fear becomes stronger than your potential. This is why negative self-talk is so dangerous. Many people are not destroyed by failure itself, they are destroyed by the way they speak to themselves after failure. One mistake becomes proof that they are useless. One embarrassing moment becomes proof that they will never improve. Slowly, temporary struggles turn into permanent identity. And without realizing it, they become prisoners of their own thoughts. But mentally resilient people protect their inner dialogue carefully. They understand that mistakes are experiences, not identity. Instead of saying, "I failed," they say, "I'm learning." Instead of saying, "My English is bad," they say, "My English is improving every day." That small change in language creates a massive change in mindset. Because words matter, especially the words you say to yourself when nobody else is listening. Your brain is always listening to your thoughts, and over time, repeated thoughts become beliefs. If you repeat fear long enough, fear becomes your reality. But if you repeat confidence, growth, and determination long enough, your mind slowly starts believing those thoughts too. This is why confident people are not always the most talented people. Sometimes they simply trained themselves to think differently. Start paying attention to the conversations happening inside your mind every day. Notice how often you criticize yourself, doubt yourself, or underestimate your potential. Then begin replacing those thoughts with intentional words that build strength instead of weakness. Every morning, remind yourself, "I can improve. I can stay calm under pressure. I can become fluent. I can grow stronger. I can handle challenges." At first, these words may feel uncomfortable or unnatural, but repetition changes identity. And here is something powerful. When you speak positive English affirmations daily, you are improving two things at the same time. You are strengthening your mindset while also improving your English fluency, pronunciation, and communication skills naturally. Every sentence you speak with confidence trains both your language and your emotions together. Slowly, your inner voice becomes calmer. Your mind becomes stronger. Your confidence becomes more real. And one day, you realize that the same voice which once filled your mind with fear is now pushing you toward growth, courage, and success. That is the power of controlling your inner voice. Habit 4. Stop seeking validation from everyone. One of the deepest emotional weaknesses that silently controls people's lives is the constant need for approval. The need to be liked, accepted, and praised by everyone. It sounds harmless at first, but over time, it becomes a prison. Because when your happiness depends on what others think, you stop living your own life and start performing for others instead. Many people feel mentally exhausted not because life is hard, but because they are constantly overthinking how they are being judged. They stay silent in conversations because they fear saying something wrong. They avoid speaking English because they fear people will laugh at their mistakes. They hold back their ideas because they are scared of criticism. And slowly, their confidence disappears, not because they are incapable, but because they are controlled by the opinions of others. But listen carefully and understand this truth deeply. If you allow other people to control your confidence, you will never feel truly free. You will always be adjusting yourself, shrinking yourself, and questioning yourself just to satisfy people who may not even understand your journey. And no matter what you do in life, there will always be someone who criticizes you. Even successful people are judged. Even talented people are misunderstood. Even confident people are criticized for being confident. So the real question is, why waste your life trying to satisfy everyone? Mentally resilient people choose a different path. They focus on self-respect instead of public approval. They understand that growth is more important than looking perfect. They know that being misunderstood is part of becoming stronger. And they stop measuring their worth based on other people's opinions. This mindset is especially powerful when it comes to learning English or any new skill. Because fluency does not come from perfection. It comes from practice. And practice always includes mistakes. You cannot become fluent if you are afraid of sounding imperfect. You cannot build confidence if you are waiting for approval every time you speak. Think about children. They learn languages quickly not because they are smarter, but because they are not afraid of making mistakes. They speak freely, laugh at their errors, and keep trying without shame. But as adults, we lose that freedom. We start worrying too much about how we sound, how we look, and what others might think. And that fear slows down our growth. The moment you stop chasing perfection and stop seeking validation, everything changes. Your learning speeds up. Your confidence grows. Your fear reduces. You begin to speak more freely, even if your English is not perfect. And that's exactly how real improvement happens. So speak imperfectly. Learn openly. Grow continuously. Don't wait for approval before you take action. Confidence is not built by being liked. It is built by being brave enough to try. And always remember this. People who laugh at beginners are often the ones who never had the courage to begin themselves. Habit 5. Protect your mind from negative energy. Your environment shapes your emotions more than you realize. The way you think, the way you feel, and even the way you see yourself is deeply influenced by what you consume every day. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, your mind slowly becomes heavy without you even noticing it. Negative friends who doubt everything you try. Negative social media that spreads comparison and insecurity. Negative news that increases fear, and negative conversations that drain your energy. All of these slowly weaken your emotional strength over time. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant and feed inside it will grow. If you feed fear, anxiety grows. If you feed doubt, insecurity grows. If you feed negativity, your energy becomes low and your confidence slowly disappears. But if you feed discipline, positivity, and growth, your inner strength begins to rise. That is why mentally resilient people are extremely careful about what they allow into their minds. They understand that not everything deserves their attention. They choose what they watch. They choose what they listen to. They choose who they spend time with. Instead of constantly consuming content that makes them feel weak, they intentionally surround themselves with inspiring ideas, positive energy, and growth-focused people. They protect their mental space like it is something valuable, because it is. This habit becomes even more powerful when it comes to learning English or building any skill, because your mindset directly affects your progress. If you constantly repeat to yourself, "English is too hard," or "I will never become fluent," your brain slowly starts accepting those statements as truth. And once your brain believes something, your actions begin to follow it. But when you change your environment and your input, everything changes. When you surround yourself with positive English content, motivational videos, podcasts, simple conversations, inspiring speakers, and daily practice, your brain starts adapting naturally. English no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a part of your daily life. Your understanding improves. Your confidence increases. And your fear slowly decreases. This is why successful and mentally strong people are very selective about energy. They don't allow every opinion, every distraction, and every negative influence to enter their mind. They understand a powerful truth: not everyone deserves access to your peace. Because the truth is, your mental energy is limited. And if you waste it on negativity, you will have nothing left for growth, learning, or success. But if you protect it, strengthen it, and use it wisely, your entire life begins to change. So protect your focus. Protect your confidence. Protect your mental environment. Because the quality of your future is directly connected to the quality of your thoughts today. Habit 6. Learn to be alone without feeling lonely. Many people are afraid of being alone, not because solitude is harmful, but because silence forces them to face themselves. So they keep themselves constantly busy, constantly distracted, and constantly connected to noise. Endless scrolling, random videos, unnecessary conversations, and constant notifications become a way to escape their own thoughts. But in reality, they are not avoiding boredom, they are avoiding self-reflection. Emotionally strong people understand something very powerful. Solitude is not emptiness, it is clarity. When you intentionally spend time alone, you begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions become more visible, and your habits and fears start to reveal themselves honestly. Silence removes all distractions and shows you who you truly are beneath all the noise. And here is the truth most people never realize: growth does not always happen in crowded places or busy environments. Some of the strongest transformations happen in quiet moments when nobody is watching. When you sit alone with your thoughts, when you reflect on your mistakes, when you think about your future, and when you face your fears without running away, that is where real emotional strength is built. Being alone is not a weakness. In fact, constantly depending on distractions is the real weakness. Because if you cannot be comfortable in your own company, you will always depend on others for validation, attention, and emotional stability. And that kind of dependence makes you fragile. But when you learn to embrace solitude, something powerful begins to change inside you. You stop running from yourself. You start understanding yourself. And slowly, you start improving yourself. Use solitude as a tool, not a punishment. Sit quietly for a few minutes every day without your phone. Reflect on your emotions instead of escaping them. Think about your goals instead of distractions. Practice speaking English alone in your room without fear of judgment. Read aloud to improve fluency and confidence. Record your voice and listen to your progress. These small habits in silence create massive growth over time. At first, silence feels uncomfortable because your mind is addicted to noise. It feels strange because you are used to constant stimulation. But if you continue practicing solitude, something amazing happens. The discomfort slowly turns into peace. The silence turns into strength. And being alone becomes something powerful instead of something scary. Eventually, you become emotionally independent. You stop needing constant approval. You stop depending on attention to feel valuable. You stop letting external noise control your mood. And instead, you build a strong inner foundation that does not break easily. Because true confidence is not found in the crowd. It is built in silence, when you are alone with your thoughts, and still strong enough to keep going forward. Habit 7. Build discipline instead of waiting for motivation. Most people live their entire life waiting for motivation to appear like magic. They wait for the right mood, the perfect energy, or the ideal moment to start working, studying, or improving themselves. But because motivation is unstable, they stay stuck in inconsistency. One day they feel inspired and take action. The next day they feel tired and stop completely. And slowly, their dreams remain unfinished not because they lacked ability, but because they depended on feelings that never stay the same. The truth is simple but powerful. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is reliable. Motivation comes and goes like waves. Discipline stays like a foundation. And people who build discipline are the ones who eventually transform their lives. There will always be days when you feel tired, emotionally drained, distracted, or unmotivated. There will be moments when confidence disappears and everything feels difficult. But disciplined people do not wait for perfect emotions. They continue anyway, even when they don't feel like it, even when progress feels slow, even when their mind tells them to quit. Because they understand something very important. Consistency builds resilience. Think about learning English. If you only practice when you feel inspired, your progress will always be slow and unpredictable. But if you practice every single day, even for just 15 or 20 minutes, your improvement becomes powerful and unstoppable over time. Not because you are always motivated, but because you refuse to stop. Small daily actions may look insignificant in the moment, but over time they create massive transformation. One sentence a day, one new word, one small conversation, one moment of practice. These small actions compound into fluency, confidence, and mental strength. The same principle applies to emotional resilience. You don't become mentally strong in one big moment. You build it through repeated discipline. You train yourself to stay calm during stress. You keep going after failure. You practice even when you feel uncomfortable. You show up even when your emotions tell you to quit. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you become stronger. And every disciplined action sends a message to your brain, I am stronger than my excuses. At first, it feels small. But over time, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who starts and stops. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That is where real confidence is born, not from motivation, but from discipline. Because the strongest confidence is not what you feel in a good moment, it is what you build by keeping promises to yourself in difficult moments. And once you build that, nothing can easily break you again. Habit 8. Stop escaping pain and start learning from it. Pain is something every human being goes through. No one is exempt from it, no matter how strong, successful, or confident they appear on the outside. Failure, rejection, embarrassment, loss, disappointment, these are not rare events. They are part of life itself. And at some point, everyone faces them. The real difference is not who avoids pain, but who learns how to respond to it. Most people try to escape pain as quickly as possible. The moment something becomes uncomfortable, they distract themselves. They blame others. They avoid responsibility. They quit too early. Because pain feels heavy, and their mind tells them to run away from it. But in doing so, they also run away from growth. Emotionally resilient people see pain differently. They don't treat it as an enemy. They treat it as feedback. They understand that every painful experience carries a hidden lesson. Failure is not the end. It is information. It teaches strategy. It shows what needs improvement. Embarrassment is not something to fear. It teaches humility and self-awareness. Rejection is not a sign of weakness. It builds emotional strength. Difficulty is not a punishment. It builds patience and resilience. Pain has the power to do two things. It can destroy you or it can train you. And the outcome depends entirely on your mindset. Think about your own struggles for a moment. Maybe you feel insecure when speaking English. Maybe you hesitate because you fear mistakes. Maybe people have underestimated you in the past. Maybe you have already failed before and it still affects your confidence. In those moments, it is easy to believe that something is wrong with you. But what if that is not the truth? What if those struggles are actually preparing you for a stronger version of yourself? What if discomfort is not stopping you, but shaping you? What if failure is not breaking you, but building resilience inside you that you cannot see yet? Your hardest moments are often the moments that create your strongest identity. The pressure you feel today can become the confidence you carry tomorrow. The pain you experience now can become the wisdom that guides you later. And remember this deeply. Every fluent English speaker once struggled to speak. Every confident person once felt insecure. Every strong communicator once made mistakes, felt embarrassed, and doubted themselves. But they did not stop. They stayed in the process long enough to grow through it. Growth is never clean or perfect. It is messy, uncomfortable, and often painful before it becomes beautiful. But that is exactly what makes it meaningful. So, instead of running from pain, start learning from it. Instead of avoiding difficulty, start growing through it. Because one day the pain you survived will no longer be something you regret, it will become the reason you are strong enough to move forward. Habit and level of persistence changes everything. Because success is not always about talent, intelligence, or luck. In many cases, it is about endurance. It is about who can stay in the game long enough to improve. The people who win in life are not always the fastest or the smartest. They are the ones who refuse to quit when things get hard. Imagine this for a moment. What if you are just one step away from improvement? 1 month away from confidence? 1 year away from transformation? And what if the only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is the decision to keep going one more time? That is why persistence is so powerful, especially when it comes to English fluency or any skill in life. At the beginning, everything feels slow and uncomfortable. You struggle to understand words. You forget vocabulary easily. You feel nervous while speaking. You make mistakes repeatedly. And sometimes it feels like you are not improving at all. But if you continue consistently, something incredible starts happening inside you. Your brain begins to adapt. Your thinking becomes faster. Your sentences become smoother. Your confidence starts growing quietly. And one day, without even realizing it, you notice that speaking English no longer feels scary. It feels natural. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. The version of you who once felt weak, uncertain, and insecure is no longer the same person. That is the reward of persistence. So make a promise to yourself today. No matter how difficult life becomes, no matter how emotional you feel, no matter how slow your progress seems, you will not give up on yourself. Because your future is not built by perfection, it is built by persistence. And your future self is depending on the decision you make right now. Conclusion. Mastering your emotions is not about becoming emotionless or shutting down what you feel. It is about becoming strong enough to understand your emotions, control them, and not let them control your life. Real mental resilience is built in quiet battles, staying calm when everything feels chaotic, staying focused when pressure is rising, and continuing forward even when your mind tells you to stop. You can become emotionally stronger. You can become mentally disciplined. You can become fluent, confident, and fearless in English and in life. But everything begins with one decision. The decision to stop living as a victim of your emotions and start becoming the master of your mind. Always remember this. Your current struggles are not permanent. Your fear is not permanent. Your insecurity is not permanent. With consistent practice and belief in yourself, you can grow into a stronger version of who you are today. So start now. Speak even if your voice shakes. Try even if you fail. Continue even when progress feels slow. Because every strong person you admire once stood exactly where you are today, and the only difference is they refuse to quit.